I'm Bex, I'm from Fun Kids, and I have just finished reading this book. Okay, can you see it? Yeah. It is Henry and the Guardians of the Lost. And I've got to say, it is a proper page turner. Now, if I'm honest, I wasn't quite excited about this book because in the first chapter it talks about Henry and his cousin Charlie Bone. So you might know Jenny Nimmo, who wrote it. She also wrote the Charlie Bone series, and I haven't read any of them. I was a little bit worried in case it would feel like watching the second film of a trilogy when you haven't seen the first one. But actually, it's fine. Didn't really bother me that much. There definitely is some backstory you can tell in the original Charlie Bone series about Henry, but you don't need to have read it beforehand, which was good because I haven't. So in the book, it's about Henry, he is 12 years old, and he got transported or time travelled from like the 1800s to now, and then one day the person he's living with, his auntie, basically takes him for a drive into the middle of the woods and leaves him there. What happens is this. Henry needs to grow up, he needs to age a little bit, because otherwise people will try and use him to find the secret of eternal life. Maybe I've given too much away there, I'm not sure. No, it's okay, that's what you need to know. Henry needs to hide for a little bit to make sure that he ages, so people don't catch on to what is happening to him. And I've got to say, I was kind of hooked. So he moves in with his cat, who's called Enkaido, I can't really pronounce it, I'm not too sure how to pronounce it. It's spelled E-N-K-I-D-U. And there's other kids there as well who've also time travelled, and other adults and witches and wizards and stuff like that. Now, I thought the characters were pretty cool, but there's loads of them. My main issue was, you know when you read something and you're not quite paying attention? You can't do that with this book because you will get lost. There are so many characters, and not just characters, but there's also lots of backstory as well. So it feels like you kind of have to remember, like, okay, who marks that person, that person, that person. It does kind of get a little bit confusing, but it's totally fine and it does work out. It's not a problem, don't worry about it. I've got to say, there was a bit in the book where I nearly cried because I was so into it and something happens. I won't spoil it, don't worry. And I genuinely cared quite a lot about what was going on with the characters. Another problem I had with it is that there is so much going on. You kind of want to know more about every character and not just Henry. I mean, he's a great guy, look at him, he's having a lovely time wandering in the forest. He's cool. But there are so many other characters with, I think, maybe even more interesting backstories that are kind of only touched on. I don't think these are in the Charlie Bone books, but I do wonder if perhaps there's a sequel planned or some more books planned in the series, and maybe you can find out what goes on with the rest of the characters. Because there are magicians in it, there's princesses, there's fairies, there's a town full of quite mean people. I want to know more about all of them, so I guess that's the sign of a good book, I suppose. But it would be nice to have a little bit more backstory on those guys as well. I nearly just said something to you, but that would have ruined the ending, so good job I didn't say that, although, no, I can't even say, I won't say that either, no, it's fine. Oh, also, I should say, there are some quite impressive baddies in this book, and again, I wanted to find out more about them. Why were they the bad guys? What were they doing? What were they forced to be doing behind the scenes? That was something that would have really, really interested me. I feel like that could have probably been a whole chapter on its own. So yeah, I loved Henry and the Guardians of the Lost. It basically gets the highest praise I can give it, which is that I want to read more books in the series. I assume there'll be more books in the series, I hope there will be. It makes me just want to carry on reading about Henry, and also actually to go back and read the Charlie Bone books as well. So I'm sure Jenny Nimmo will be very happy, because I've basically said I want to read everything she's ever written. Not too bad for an author, right? So yeah, I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you love your mystery and your adventure and your fantasy time travelling kind of stuff. But even if you don't like that kind of stuff, because I wasn't too sure whether I would still read it. Definitely go for it. Cool, so that is my review of Henry and the Guardians of the Lost. If you've got a book you want me to review, or any opinions really on this book, drop me a line in the comments section. And remember to subscribe.